All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's so good to see you here today. I'm so excited about the topic that I get to discuss today. And that is one of the most exciting, very first steps the decisions you must make in the process of building a business. If you are an entrepreneur, if you're a small business person and you have a dream and you want to get into building a business, but you've already got something going and it's kind of a side hustle thing and you want to turn it into a business and you're like, okay, am I ready to take the leap, jump off the cliff, and I'm ready to quit my job and get after it? Or am I not quite there yet? And that is what this webinar is all about. And I'm so excited to bring this subject to you today because it is one of the most pivotal moments in a person's life, in a business's life, when you transition, actually get out of that stage of only side hustle to really and truly seriously thinking about what the future of your business and your life could look like and how that can transform you and your family's legacy for generations to come. So, turning a side hustle into a business, when is it proper, correct, or the right time to take the leap? And we're going to go over that today. Hopefully, you can get some really special, very, very useful nuggets out of it that you can take and guide your steps forward with, causing your dream to become a reality. All right, so turning your side hustle into a business. By the way, my name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Taiken Translations. I've been operating our organization for the past 11 years. Prior to that, I was a CFO for another organization in San Antonio, Texas. And we worked on scaling. That was also an entrepreneurial type, home-based business, family-based business type situation. And we worked on growing that business from very little to $1 million status. And then I did the same thing for the current business that I operate with me and my wife. My wife and I, we've been married for the past 16 years. We have 8 children together, and we built this business. Her and I, it was a mom and pop shop way back then. When we started this was a dream, and we turned it into reality together. And so that's what I'm going to share with you, some of the thought processes that you need to have in your mind and in your practice so that you can win. So you started your side hustle. Congratulations. You got a product. You started a deal. You started flipping houses and kind of start working or something, or you have a massage business, or I don't know, you're a fitness trainer, or you got something going on and it's starting to produce a little revenue, and you call that sucker a side hustle, and you're like, oh my gosh, I could really turn this into business. I could quit my job and turn this into a real business one day. Wouldn't that be cool? And congratulations to you. I want to give you a hearty round of applause and congratulations, because it takes a lot just to get to that point, much less to actually get in to the further steps of going into really making a full-fledged business, bringing on team members and becoming a leader. So congratulations to you. Well done. You got this far. Now let's make sure that the continuation of this thing doesn't fall to pieces and crumble. Let's make sure that you have the best possible chance of causing your situation to succeed. And by the way, you are my favorite type of people. You are my absolute favorite type of people, a small business owner, a true leader out there in the marketplace, building something meaningful, or an entrepreneur who came into the marketplace and wants to create a better reality for themselves or for their family. And so this is one of the most exciting people to me. You're heroes in your community and your families, and create legacies for more people than you know. And so it's really, really inspiring to be able to work with entrepreneurs and to talk to them and to be able to help them win. And my core message, by the way, through this, as we go through the content today, the core thing that I want you to take away is that I definitely do want you to win. I just don't want you to fail. Okay? I want you to absolutely win. I want you to kill it and run out of the marketplace and slay. But what I don't want you to do is fall flat on your face and make your dream become an absolute nightmare because we failed to take the proper precautions and the steps that are required to make sure that we get to the place that we should be before we take that leap or before we launch into into our business operation, to the actual business operation. Before I start this part of the webinar, which we're going to answer the question, how do I know when I should take the leap? I want to answer a couple of questions really quickly that came in that my wife promised that I would answer them online. So I made sure that I took a look and have the answers to these questions for you today as we start this webinar. All right, so the first one is from Vanessa. She has a passionate husband who is really inspired about the work that he's got, the gig that he's doing. He's got a few clients and he's really excited about it. And he's looking into the future, trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to make sure that this little thing that I have succeeds? And how can I make sure that I can provide for my family? And he's asking great questions. Who can I talk to? What resources can I use? And he says, all right, so what books are out there? All right, if there's one single book, now listen to this. I don't want you to go get 100,000 books. And there's any number of incredible, great books out there. And I read, and I love reading, and I have books. I mean, I have books on my desk. I have stacks of books, and I constantly read. But if there's one single book you need right now, if you're starting out as an entrepreneur, the single most important book that you should have that you should read right now is this one right here. It is called Dave Ramsey's EntreLeadership. Okay, EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey. Pick that book up. You can pick it up anywhere where really great books are sold. Pick that book. That is the number one book you need. Okay. Now, people that you can talk to. You can talk to me. You can DM us. You can send us a message. You can contact us through the comments. Other than answering this question, and I'll be glad to have a conversation with you about the subject of moving through the process of launching your business. Okay, so the third thing: don't leap, step. I want you to just get that in your mind as you think about the process of converting from side hustle to business. Don't leap, step into the new role. Okay. And I'm going to provide a lot more clarity on this throughout the webinar that I'm about to do right now. So watch the webinar, stay tuned to the end so that you understand what I mean when I say don't leap, step. Okay. So those are the three things for Vanessa. I just want you to have those in your back pocket so you guys can charge forwards. Second question here. From Arnold. Arnold says, a buddy of mine is trying to start a security guard business and he wants me to be a co-founder, but I'd rather just be an investor. Any idea on how this would look on paper so I could receive some kind of ROI? Arnold, if you want to lose your buddy, do this. Okay? If you want to lose your buddy. And I don't say that to be mean. But I want to give you a couple further definitions, or further explanations. So if you want to say, how do I invest in my buddy? He wants to open a security guard company, and he doesn't currently have one, but he wants to open one. So I'm looking at this from the situation that there's no business in place to invest in, but there will be, or possibly can be, if I invest. Listen, if you want to lose your buddy, do this, because investing, I'm a long time investor. Now listen, if you want to be investing in something, hold on just for a moment. I want to make sure that I'm dealing with any questions. Okay. All right. I'm just switching back from the comments here. All right. So if you want to call yourself an investor, then you have to make sure that you are reading a prospectus about what that fund is doing, or what that investment can do, or what history that it has of succeeding, winning, or failing, and what the trailing records are, so that you can make an informed and wise decision on whether or not you should invest your money in that fund. Investment means that you are investing in some system that's already doing something and has a track record, a trail of data. And you analyze that data, and you can see that, well, the data says that it has a 8% return or a 12% return. And you can ascertain that if you put your money in this fund, you will get a 12% return on your money, because it has a data trail, a track record. It has a working, functioning, profitable activity in the marketplace. Okay, that's investing. Now, there's another thing that people call investing sometimes, and it's not investing, and that is called speculation. I have a friend who wants to do a thing, and it's not been tried, but we want to go in together and see if we can make it work. That is pure speculation. And speculation, you have no idea if it's going to work. You almost don't care if it's going to work because you have a net worth that's large enough to not be afflicted by the loss of that of the value of whatever you're putting into it. And if that entire sum of money that you put into that thing just burned, it wouldn't affect your life one way or the other. And that is speculation. And you can do what you want in the area of speculation. But if you're going to call something an investing, then it has to have a track record of success. And just because somebody won one time somewhere in some way doesn't mean they have a track record of success. So I would say in this situation, it would be very dangerous, both on the relational side and the financial side, to invest in your buddy's non-current security endeavor that he wants to do. So the ROI on this is absolutely zero, because you have no idea and no data about his past success and the opportunity that might have of succeeding. So my best advice to you would be not to do that. And all right, so I'm going to move to the next question here, and that is from Johnny, and he says, what about getting a co-founder? Does anybody have any recommendations? Now, this is something that's really important to know, to understand, and just to kind of, as you do business, you have to understand some basic ideas, especially basic ideas around investing, finances, management of that, risk management. There's a reason that banks ask for co-signers, because your risk level is too high. They're mitigating their risk by spreading it around to more people that have credit scores or that have more of a likelihood of paying the money back to them. And if you don't have that credibility, they're going to try to spread it around to others. So you getting a co-founder basically is you spreading out the risk to other people. The only problem with that is if you don't have something that's tried and true that works, getting a co-founder, unless it's your spouse. I mean, that's how I founded my business. Me and my wife, we started our business and grew it over time. But unless it's your spouse, I would not do the co-founding thing. You relinquish a part of the control of your business, and you drag someone else into a untried system that you don't really know if it will work. And you cause a lot of time and money. You got a lot of time to go by in the decision-making process. And in business, decision-making speed is vital in every area. And if you have to have 10 conversations to make any good decision, then the likelihood that you get to the end of that decision quickly is going to be very, very hindered very greatly. So don't do that. The only ship that will never sail in business, in small business, is a partnership. So don't do co-founders, don't do partnerships, and let's get rolling into the content that I came to talk about today. And that is, how do I know when I should take the leap? This is so exciting, guys, because so many businesses failed because of lack of wise leaping into and decision-making into something that they should never have gotten to in the first place, or they weren't prepared to go into it, so they failed for their lack of preparation. Many businesses could have been saved if the entrepreneur had made wiser launch choices. Guys, I've talked to so many entrepreneurs, and so many of them, they started their business and they foolishly leapt into the business without making sure that they were set up before taking the step. And because they leaped into the business without a good foundation and plan and the knowledge and skills they needed, they fell flat on their face and they didn't prosper. Not because there was no opportunity, not because the business was a bad idea, not because there was no market for the thing they were after. They simply were not prepared for going after the thing they needed the way that they needed to be prepared for it, and they fell flat on their face. And the this webinar is about helping you to not do that. So why do you think you should leap? Really, think about that. Why should it be a leap? In anything in your life that has been of any great value, has it been this massive leap for you to get there? It's likely not. When you have children, I've had 8 children. I haven't. Me and my wife have, right? It takes 9 months for them to get here. It's no great leap. I mean, you know about this for a long time before that event happens. It takes a while. It takes a long time for 8 kids to show up in your family. And so there's not a huge leap between you and where you want to be in your business. It's simple, logical progression of steps that you need to be taking to make sure that you get there and that you fly, that you don't just tank it as soon as you get into it. So who should you listen to? When you're in this phase, thinking about the leap, thinking about the transition into the business, who should I listen to? Everyone is an expert on their own opinion. So now, an unknown author, I don't know who said this. I heard this in my many lessons on business and readings and listening to different seminars. Someone with an experience in the thing that you want to do is not at the mercy of someone with an opinion. So get information from people who have actually done this, who have actually transitioned from hobby into business. So who actually have gone through that transition phase and successfully made it, not just somebody who tried it a few times and failed. Okay, so now I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I did do this, and I did it very successfully with my wife, and we have a flourishing business from it, and that's awesome. So I have a little bit of perspective on this, and that's why I'm sharing this with you, because again, when we started, I said some of my favorite type of people are entrepreneurs, leaders, and small business owners, and that's why I want you to be able to win. All right, so just talk about your current status for a second. Your current status is you have a job, you have some source of steady income, you see an opportunity in the marketplace, but you're tired of the long hours, you're afraid of what the unknown might be if you quit your job, and there's lots of what ifs. What if this happens, or what if that happens? What if I can't make it in this business, or what if this idea is not good enough, or what if technology or some kind of bots come in and they just completely take over the industry and it's not needed anymore? What if? There's lots of stuff that you simply don't know, but there is a desire somewhere deep inside, a burning fire that's like, man, I can do something greater than this. I was meant for something more. I really know that if I really try hard and I have this business thing and it's working, and maybe it can be something more than it is today. And I'm really excited about this, but I'm not sure. And I just got a lot of controversy inside as to whether or not this will work. So what can I do? What can I do to see? I have this side hustle thing. I have my job and it's working, and I've got this side hustle and it's producing something. And if I really invested into it, it might produce more, but I don't know for sure. What do I do? Is there anything I can? How can I set myself up to not fail? Is there anything I can do now, right now, to help myself not fail? And my resounding answer to you is that yes, there is something you can do right now to help yourself make that transition into this new business to help you not fail. And I'm going to go over that with you right now. And it's going to hopefully help you take that wise transition. So there are 2 main things that must be a reality before you take the step. 2 big things. Now they are a little bit complicated, and you do have to know that they are challenging to work through, but there are only 2. It's simple, but it is difficult. All right, my assumption right now, by the way, is that you are doing something extra, a side hustle deal that's producing some money, and you can see a logical future of growth. And we can talk about figuring out a product and figuring out a business model and how to understand some ways to make money and stuff like that in different videos. But this one is not about that. This one is about you have something that's currently working on a smaller scale, and you're really just kind of nervous, and you're not sure, and you're kind of thinking you should, but you're not really sure, and you want to know how to get to the next level and to make it go from something that's just a side hustle to actually something that works. And again, I've done this. I've walked through with walked with other entrepreneurs through this process and help people prosper. I give advice on this. I give talks on this. I provide YouTube content on this. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. And I want to help as many people as I possibly can with, because entrepreneurs and small business people are the backbone of the American economy. We build this together. All right. So 2 key areas. Remember, I said there's 2. One is the tactical, and 2 is the visionary/why. So as we get into the information about this webinar, I want you to really think about these 2 areas and really dig deep into the workings of these 2 areas and solve for reality in your life in these 2 areas, so that when you get to the business part, when you actually get to the day-to-day operations of a profitable business, you don't fall flat on your face, but you actually prosper. Now, let's look forwards. Yes, my name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Tiger Translations. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss future webinars. I provide webinars. I'm going to be providing webinars just like this every Wednesday for the next 4 weeks. And then I'm going to continue in a different format at a different time. But anyways, like and subscribe for more content just like this, so that you can be aware and so that you can be informed and that you can grow your knowledge and your skill, and just make sure that you have the information that you need in your arsenal so that you're ready for the journey ahead. All right. So 1, the first thing you have to do. So I said 1 through 3 is about the tactical, and then 4 is about the vision/why. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Number 1, remove your emotions from the deal. Remove them. Remove your emotions. Face the real picture, not the picture that you want to be true. Face the real and true and realistic picture of what is. Assess your reality. Ask yourself and get data. If I spend this many more hours doing this thing in this business, does it actually move the needle? Does it change anything? Does it make any difference? Does my little thing grow, or does it stay the same? Am I stagnant? Okay. If you can get to this phase, like, yes, I check that box. If I spend 5 more hours, if I spend 10 more hours per week on my thing, it does grow and it really does make a difference. Check. You got the box checked off. Freaking awesome. Well done. We can move to the next things. All right. Now, do I know where my sales are coming from? And do I know how to get more sales? That means, do I know how to identify sales channels? And do I know how to sell when I get somebody knocking on my door or coming to me with a request? If you've just sold, if all the clients in your index are only your 3 closest neighbors and your mom and dad, you're not ready. You don't really have a good bead on where your sales are coming from. If it's just your family and a couple of your cousins, that's not a good indicator that you've got a great bead on where your sales come from in your market. You have to be able to identify where your sales come from, and you have to know how to make the sale when you identify where those sales come from. And again, that's why I pointed to EntreLeadership, this book, EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey. He talks about how to make sales in there. He talks about so many different critical functions of business that will help you to make sure that you can have the knowledge you need when you get to that step. And so where your sales come from and how to get more sales. Now, what is required of you at this stage is vastly more than you realize. When you step into a role as a business leader, and it was no different for me. When I stepped into business owner, leader, CEO role of this organization, I didn't realize 11 years ago what it would take, and I vastly underestimated it. So you need to commit in this stage to reducing as much risk as you can in every area. And in step 1, where we remove the emotions and we look at the real picture of what we got, our little side hustle thing, and we say, where are my sales coming from? We identify that. We say, okay, do I know how to get more sales? We identify that, and we understand the process of getting sales and selling. Now we can commit to reducing risk in every other area. And this period is a test period for you and for your business, because if you can learn these critical things, you can set the foundation, set the standard for what it's going to take for you to go beyond and to actually produce a thriving business. Now, what is the next step? 2, does the side hustle make money? Now, I know this sounds like a funny question, but so many people out there, they've been in business for 2 or 3 years and they have this side hustle thing going on and they don't even really know if it's making money. Now, you have to ask yourself, how much money do I specifically need to survive? Dreams become nightmares when you do not accurately assess and acknowledge this reality. So when you don't have a clear understanding of how much money you need to live on each month, the exact number, and you don't know how much money exactly your side hustle makes, because when you have a product and you have to buy the product and you have to transport the product and maybe you have to import the product and pay taxes on the product, then you have to, if you're doing an Amazon business of some kind, and they have to pay for packing and shipping and all these handling fees in the process, how much money do you actually make from that thing? Because at the end of the day, after all of those numbers filter down, you may be making a lot less than you realize. And so you have to have a very clear understanding, a very, very clear picture of how much money is actually profit being made from this side hustle that I can use to apply to my monthly budget. And this is critical, because if you do not know this, you will fall flat on your face, because you will start your thing, you'll get into it, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I thought we made so much more money. We got like $10,000 of sales. Yeah, but you paid out $9,000. So you only had $1,000 to eat with at the end of the day. You had paid $9,000 to get $8,000 of sales. If you do that, it means you're not making much money. It means you're going to starve out. So we can't live like that. In order to be able to thrive on that business, you would have to make many more sales. So dreams become nightmares when you don't accurately acknowledge this fact. How much money does my side hustle make? And does it make enough for me to survive in my household? Depending on your risk and the circumstances that you have in your specific life, you must acknowledge and assess how much risk you're in. Are you supporting a family? Are you single? Do you have other obligations in your life? Do you have some kind of childcare obligations? Are you a single parent? Whatever the case is, you have your specific life and you have your side hustle, and these things are very intimately connected. And you need to make sure that the money that's produced is enough. If you're not yet producing enough money to pay for your current expenses, you're not ready to make the shift. Well, if I just spend more time, then if I just quit my job and I spend all my time doing this thing, then I'll be able to make enough money. Maybe you might, but you might not. You might find out that selling to other people in the marketplace besides your relatives and your friends is a lot freaking harder. Because it is. Because nobody trusts you. Because they don't know you. And they shouldn't, because they don't. So make sure that you are starting to assess risk in this category. Am I making enough money from the work that we're doing to ensure that we're meeting our obligations in our home? Because if you don't, you're going to turn your dream to a nightmare and you're going to starve out. Now that we know how much money we need and how much we make from the side hustle, we ask the other question, is it enough? And we move in to reducing risk in step 3. Now, remember, there's 2 steps, and this is the tactical side. 1 through 3 is reducing risk. Create the lowest financial risk scenario in your life possible, guys. And I cannot stress this enough. I know one of the reasons that you're getting into this side hustle, into this business, is so that you can have extra money to deal with. So that you can pay down all your debts, or you can get out of the rat race. But if you have to understand this. Debt exponentially increases your likelihood of failure. Any kind of debt in any area of your life, private, student loans, mortgage, any kind of debt, infinitely increases the amount of risk that you have in your life. Now, the only allowable The only allowable debt that I would say is even fathomably acceptable is the mortgage in this case. If you have a mortgage and you have a good, decent mortgage and you have everything else paid off, then and only then are we talking about close to a zero, more like a zero debt load situation. So if you really want to succeed, this is the time when you decide, because this part is painful. It's very, very painful. This is where you really decide if your dream is going to make it, though. This is the moment when in your life when you decide my dream is going to make it. I'm going to submit myself to a process that works, where I can create a financially secure future for myself and my family and cause this business that I'm going to launch to prosper. I know it's hard. I've done it. I've been in the trenches. I'm currently in the trenches, just much further down the road, but I've been in that trench. When you have to make the transition, you've got to make sure everything's paid off and you're paying everything. And I had, when I made this transition, I had 3 kids, 1 on the way. And I just got out of a lower paying job, and I needed to, and we had a track record, and we kind of transitioned to this thing. So, I mean, I know what you're in. I had those risks. I had challenges. I had struggles that I was facing. And this is the moment when you decide if your dream is going to make it. Are you willing to do what it takes? Decide you are someone who delays pleasure for greater wins in the future. And many times, because this is small business and entrepreneurship, the distant future. So you have to decide that you are someone right now who is able to delay pleasure for this season of life for the greater wins in the future. And that means putting off some things that you maybe have not put off before now. Someone said a good pleasure is something you pay for in advance, and a bad pleasure is one that you pay for long afterwards. And I agree with that saying in many, many senses. And I think it very, very, very heavily applies to this situation as we look into creating the lowest financial risk scenario possible. Now, how do we do that? 3A, zero debt of any kind, because debt elevates risk, period. There's so much that's said on this. There's so many TikTokers out there today that say, no, you can take debt and you can leverage. And they talk about the spread and the margin and all these amazing words about leveraging somebody else's money to do the thing you want to do. Debt elevates risk in any capacity, in any area of your life. The only possible acceptable debt is your mortgage, with the understanding that you are currently in an elevated risk scenario. If you have mortgage, it's an elevated risk situation, even though I definitely understand all the calculations behind all of these things. It's still an elevated risk scenario. At this point in my life, our business is a multi-million-dollar company. My house is actually, for the entire duration of our business, I came into our business, I never went into debt for anything at all, because it was so important to me to keep risk down, because as my family grew, I wanted to make sure that I was doing my job to keep them safe. And as I grew our company, I could keep them safe by making more money from our company and building our house and buying all of our properties debt free. So if you want to not fail, you need to be debt free. Student loans, any private loans, any of your loans for anything else except for your home. Cars, credit cards, everything. Those all need to be paid off. If that's not the current situation, you drastically increase your chances of failure. And what I said in the last slide about decide now, are you going to be someone who delays pleasure? This is what I'm talking about. So many of us live in that situation where we're not ready to delay pleasure. We're not willing to not do something so that we can have it now. And we put it on a card. Okay, I'll pay for it monthly, or I'll put it on a layaway, or I'll lease that car. If you do that, you increase your risk scenario. You, when you're starting your business, have to decrease that as much as physically possible. And if you're asking yourself, if you're ready to make the leap and you have a pile of debt and a mortgage and student loans and car loans, you're not ready. I guarantee you, you are not ready, and you exponentially increase your chance of failure if you do this. All right, 3B, live on a budget and live on less than you make. Now, in this stage, try 3 months living on only the money that you make from your side hustle. If you can't do that while saving all of your salary, living only on the money from your side hustle business thing, if you can't do that, you're not ready to take the step. Now, at this stage, you invest every possible hour in growing your thing, your side hustle, your organization. You invest every possible ounce of strength that you have into growing your little business. And if you are, and you need to see during this time, in this 3-month period, are you really able to increase the income? Or is it flat? Does it just stay the same no matter what you do? Or can you actually increase it? So live on 3 months, live for 3 months on the money that you make from your side hustle. If you can't do that, you're not ready. If you do not make enough money to live on without your salary from your job, you are not ready to leave your job. If you do it at this stage, you will fall flat on your face and you will fail. Not because the market screwed you, simply because you were not ready and you took the step too quickly, too far in advance, and you let your emotions run away with you and give you this false idea that you could win even against all odds. And you might win against all odds, but you need to have some of the odds in your favor, especially the controllables that you can control, simply because you are controlling them. So moving to the next one, that is 3B, live on a budget, live on less than you make, do the 3 months. Test yourself for 3 months. Can I live on only the money that I make from this side hustle? If you can do that, we're moving forwards. Now, the third thing you have to do. So in this state, so we don't have any debt at this point, except for the mortgage possibly. And we may be renting, and that's okay. That's not a waste. You're saving time. Now that we've got those debts down, we need a 6 months emergency fund. You're like, what? Dave Ramsey only says 3 to 6 months. Yes, he says 3 to 6 months, depending on your risk scenario. If your risk scenario is lower, then you stay on, you have a lower emergency fund month period that you can live without having an income. But if you have a higher one, which anything small business, entrepreneurship, and in that area of functionality is high risk. If you want to be a small business owner, it is a high risk scenario. So 6 months household expenses for your emergency funds. And that's not counting all the expenses in your life and all the crazy debt payments that you think you have right now, because you have those all paid off, remember? So no debt of any kind except for the mortgage. Now we have a 6 months emergency fund for all of our household expenses. And this is mortgage, food, utilities, transportation, and housing. So anything that covers the 4 walls of your life, that is what has to be in place in your emergency fund for a period of 6 months before you're ready to take the step. And I know that's hard, and I know it's taking longer, and I know it's painful because I did it. It's excruciatingly painful, and it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of sacrifice. And it does get sped up if you actually invest more time and you actually take on as much work as you possibly can to speed it up as fast as you can. I mean, I sold cars, I flipped stuff, I sold everything that I possibly could sell to build up this emergency fund. And my wife cleaned houses. I mean, we did tons of stuff to make sure that we had a pile of money that kept us safe, so that when we launched our little business thing, that it wouldn't fall flat on its face. So 6 months household expense. Again, this is something that you can tactically, actively do right now to make sure that you're not going to fall flat on your face. And if your husband or your wife is like, I got this great business idea and it's so great, it's just going to work, we just got to quit our job and go do it. Oh man, this is amazing. And you're tied up in these emotions and you're flowing and you're like, wait a minute, are we even making any money? Like, are we going to be able to eat? You need to have the answer to that question, because if you can't eat hope, It gets real bad tasting real quick. So don't get caught up in the emotion. This is the stage when we have to be very fixated on reality. What do we make? What do we have? Can we survive this transition? Can we go on this? Will this thing support us? Then you have to answer that question. If it cannot support you at this stage, you're still not ready. So for basic household expenses, enough to survive means rent or mortgage, food, utilities, transportation, and again, housing. I wrote it twice for some reason. But that's what it means. If you want to have a true 6 months emergency fund, that's going to give you the best possible chance to succeed when you make the transition into your new business. Make sure you have a 6 months emergency fund that you have access to and that will float you when the going gets rough. And I can promise you, guys, I've been in business for 11 years. I started with a side hustle with my wife, and we transitioned into business, and we've been in business for 11 years. It's gonna rain. It's gonna be tough, and you will have a few hard months here and there at different times in your business. It's gonna happen. There's no question. And if you don't have money prepared for this period, and then you have to go into debt. Remember what I said about drastically, exponentially increasing your chances of failure by bringing on debt. And you use debt to cover your emergencies. And then you have trouble making your payments because you use debt. And then you have to use more debt to do that. You sink yourself and you sink your dream. And what I'm trying to do is help you make sure that you transition into your dream, are able to charge hard forwards and make your freaking dream come true. That you don't sink it to the bottom of the sea simply because you chose to not to delay satisfaction and pleasure. You chose to not make sure that you did the things that you could do before the launch that would actually help you prosper. You had the power in your hands to do it, and you didn't do it, and you failed. That's so many business owners out there, and what I don't want for you is that is you. I want you to go out into the marketplace, bring your awesome thing, service, product, whatever it is, to the marketplace, and make your dreams come true, create a legacy for your children's children. Freaking amazing. But you can't do that if you're not ready. You can't change the world if you don't have a foundation to stand on. A wise woman or man foresees the evil and hides himself. I'm a Christian. I believe in the Bible. The Bible says this. This is how I can best explain it. He sees evil down the road and hides himself from it, protects him or herself from the evil down the road. And the way we protect ourselves from the evil of 2 or 3 months of really bad sales is we have a big old pile of money sitting over here, because when that bad sales month comes along and we can't make our sales numbers thresholds like we should, we got a big old pile of money sitting right here because it's gonna rain and we got a rainy day fund, and we just take the money and we use it and we keep on going. We live to fight another day because we were wise, because we said sometimes it rains in life. If you have been in life for any period of time, you know that life is painful, that people lie, that deals go bad, that clients don't pay sometimes, that employees, they steal sometimes, that bad things happen. Even relatives, even good people in our lives, they do bad things. And it gets rough. And if you don't have money to help you weather those storms, you're going to sink your endeavor. And this has nothing to do with the marketplace. This has nothing to do with anything out there, the market even liking or not liking your product. It has everything to do with you being prepared for getting your thing into the marketplace, getting your business into the marketplace. And this is C. So make sure you have a 6 months emergency fund. This is not optional. It's not a question. It's not a theory. It's not even a wish or a hope. It's a must. If you do this, you will set yourself up to be able to make the transition. And it's going to be awesome. Now, if you do not have these things, you are not ready to leave your job. You've got to keep grinding until you can make these things a reality, and you can do it. I believe in you. I've done it. I've seen many others do it. You can absolutely do this. You can do it. I've done it, and many others have done it, and you can too. Now, what is the second thing? This is one of my favorite areas of business because this drives the core furnace for the business to move, to actually be in existence. And so many people start with a vague idea of this, but they have to clarify. If you're going to make your business prosper, if you're going to make your business be able to move forward into prosperity, you have to get this right. Now, I want to ask the people of the audience, do you have a business side hustle? And if you do, please introduce yourself in the comments below. So if you have a business side hustle, or if you have something that you're working on, or a dream or idea, place your comment in the comment below. Would really appreciate seeing that. Okay. I have another question that came up here in the chat, and I just want to answer that before I get into the vision/why part of this discussion. And it is, I know I will be able to boost my business if I leave the operational side, but I can't find committed and qualified people with my budget to do the work that I do. What advice do you have for me? Well, I would say to you that, especially at this stage, you may not realize that there are so many other options out there in the marketplace for getting stuff done, for getting key work done for your business. And at this stage, if you don't have a lot of money to hire full-time people to do all the stuff that you need in your business, then what you can do is you can outsource some of that to a service provider. So my company also provides people who do different services for business. So we have assistants that show up actually in real life to government offices and help blind people to be able to see. But essentially, we have translators and interpreters in my translation company, where they show up and they translate or they interpret for an audience. We have service providers who provide support for media or for design for different types of businesses. And so there are lots of opportunities that you may not know, like, man, I just need to hire somebody full time for this. And you probably don't. You could reach out to a service provider just like us, and we can help you, pair you with somebody that can do the work for you. So don't think that you don't have enough money to do something. If you have some margin, you can probably find some help even with whatever margin that you have. Okay, so the next question I see here: looking back, what's one thing I wish you had done differently on your own transition from a side hustle to business? That's a great question. One thing that I wish that I would have done differently from the transition from side hustle to business. I'm sorry, I'm having to look around the camera here as I read the question on the screen. I wish I would have had more time to be able to make the transition. I had to make a decision very, very abruptly in my work. It was basically an either or situation with me and my wife. We had to either continue in the business that I was in and invest way more hours and way more of my soul, or I had to completely relinquish that, trust that I was ready, and go forward into the business. And there is a time when you are ready that you just don't know it. If you're a super preparer like me and kind of prefer not to live in a very high risk case scenario, then sometimes you delay. So I would have liked to have a little more time, and I didn't, but it worked out. So praise the Lord. It worked out. We did fine. We had an emergency fund. We had been doing the thing for a long time. We were able to increase when we invested more of ourselves. We were able to increase the sales. So all of those things were a reality. And so everything that I'm talking about in this slideshow today is essentially coming from that time of our lives when we really made that transition, and when we saw that the work that others when we've seen the work that others have done as they've transitioned for their businesses. So having the time, I think slowing down a little bit, making sure that we set the foundation was so important for us. And that's one of the key reasons that we were able to keep going whenever the going got tough. And it has gotten tough multiple times over these past 11 years. So thank you for that really, really good question. Okay, I want to make sure that I've answered all the questions here so far. Yes, I have. All right, let's move on into the vision/why section. All right, it's going to be harder than you think. Running your business is going to be harder than you think. It's freaking hard to run a business. If you don't know why you're doing it, that alone might sink you. Okay? It will be worth it though. If you know why you're doing it and you make money, it will be so worth your effort, so worth the amount of investment in your life to go and do the running of your own business and to make something prosper, create something out of nothing, go from zero to millions of dollars in revenue. It is so amazingly fulfilling to create that. And it will be worth it. But you have to start with why. If you don't have a why, if you don't have a vision, and you will fail. All right, so common and not great reasons are these. I will make more money. Money does matter, but it is not a good why. That's not a good reason to go into business for yourself. I will have more free time. Probably not. For at least 10 years, you will probably not have free time because you are your worst boss. When you realize that you are the one that has to make sure payroll is there, and you are the one that has to file taxes, and you are the one that has to make the sales, and you are the one that has to build the website, and you are the one that has to do every possible part of the business operation, you will probably not have that much time. So that is not a good reason to go into business for yourself because I will have more time. No, you probably will not for at least 10 years. I will look way cooler. If you will, if you don't fail. But how cool do you really need to look? If you don't feel like you look cool already, you won't feel like you look cool then. That is not a good reason to be in business. That's not a vision. I want my family to finally be proud of me. My mom and dad, I always wanted them to be proud of me. And if I have my own business and I do my own thing and I'm successful, they'll finally be proud of me. They might not, even if you succeed. If they're not already proud of you, if they're not already super proud of you, they're probably not going to be. And yeah, and I can speak from my own experience of that. They're probably not going to be. They're just not. And you're going to have to come to terms with that, because if you do this thing and then they're not proud of you, and you did it so that they would be proud of you, you're probably going to fail in your company. So what I'm trying to drive home is they're not great reasons. You have to have your own great reason, vision for your organization. Every organization should exist to make some group of people, no matter how small or large, but some group of people's life better. If it does not do that core function, it will and should go out of business. Every organization must do something for someone else to make their life better. Otherwise, it will and should go out of business. Get that in your mind and in your heart, because you have to know what it is that you do that makes their lives better in order to make your business, your side hustle, truly legitimate and truly have the potential, the ability to prosper. Your reason should be idealistic, completely idealistic. We all know intuitively that it has to become tangible, but that is not what this section is about. This is not the time for that. At this stage of your business, you must know why your company exists, and you must define it. And your reason must be true, and it can't be something that just sounds good. It can't just be something that you say to impress other people. And this is a time when you do introspection on yourself. And that's why I was saying, excuse me, when Carlos asked that question, when I said, I wish I would have had more time. In this area, I wish I had more time to make that transition, to be able to dig into the true reason why we did it before I had to go into the operations. And I didn't have that time. But I quickly caught up as we went forwards. So if you something that you need to, that will help you maybe to understand, if you didn't write it down, it would still be a reality for you in the business. So your purpose and your vision for this thing, the thing that drives you forward, even if you didn't write it, it would be true. Sometimes that helps people in kind of understanding how to get to their why in business. So to do this really well, ask yourselves, how do we contribute? How do we, or how does my organization contribute to a better world? This is not a squishy thing. You really need to identify this, because this is going to help you stay the course when the going gets tough. And remember what I said about the tactical side and the financial side. That stuff all has to be in place, yes. And we have to know why we're doing this. It's not just all tactical. It's not just all this kind of great logician's game. It's both. It's both and. It takes this artistic, creative, and logical, reality-based decision making, and to drive forwards. Because I remember there was this great this movie where it's called A Walk in the Clouds. Now I know there's probably terrible actors. A lot of people may not like it, but I love that movie. And in that movie, there's an old guy that says, what do the doctors know about the soul? When this young guy was saying, hey, you shouldn't be eating chocolate. You can't be eating chocolate. This guy's like 95 years old. So you can't be eating chocolate. It's bad for your cholesterol. He looked at the kid and it's like, what do the doctors know about the soul? There has to be a soul to your company. And it will get tactical eventually, but this soul has to be established and clarified by you before you're ready to take the step into business ownership, charging forwards. If you're a solo business owner, talk this over with one of your best friends. Have a dialogue about this. Jordan Peter says the process of thinking is about dialoguing, speaking, taking what's inside of you and putting it into the ethers, so that your environment can analyze what you have just said and return back to you with data on what it thinks or what it feels about what you just said, and it helps you to process this. So find somebody you trust deeply, your best friend, somebody that knows you in and out, somebody that's been with you for a long time in your life, maybe your significant other, if your wife or your spouse, whoever it is in your life that you can communicate about how you contribute to a better world. It's very, very important at this stage that you go over and you have a lot of conversation around this. How do we contribute to a better world, and why do we do that? And you ask that question again and again and again, and you put a lot of fluid on that conversation. You put a lot of fluid and time into that, and ask, how do we contribute to a better world? And really get a solid answer. And guys, I have to address this one point, because so many people go into this and they like, well, even if my spouse is not on the same page, it'll work out. And if your spouse and you are not in lockstep, like you can imagine military flight, they're marching down the way there, and all their feet are hitting the ground at exactly the same time. I used to be in the United States Air Force, and the marching it's just one of the most pride creating moments of your experience. And you're marching with a group of great men and women who are patriots about our country, and they just love what they're doing, and they're in lockstep, and they're going forwards. And I used to think, man, if I saw these thousands of people marching into my city or into my battle zone, I would be scared to freaking death, because these people look freaking powerful. And that's what I'm trying to relate to you. That idea is that if you are in lockstep with your spouse about what you're doing, and a house divided will not stand. A business, a husband and a wife divided onto whether or not they should or will pursue this business, or whether they're going to contribute together to make this prosper, if they're not unified, if they're not in lockstep, boom, 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 and the cadence goes on and on and on. If they're not in lockstep, that alone will fail the business. There's so many things outside of business that people don't realize cause them to fail. And they think it's the market, and they think it's the sales, and they think it's the methodology, and they think it's the PPC campaigns, or all of these other workings. And most of the time, the business failures come from somewhere within. And it can come from somewhere within by not having a purpose, not being unified with your spouse or your significant other on the purpose, and not spending the time necessary to actually identify this key point of your business. Now, we can talk more about purpose and how it transitions to activity in the future. But the point that you have to get to before you're ready to step into that new environment is that you must define your vision for this organization. Until you have an answer, just short of, well, we do this to contribute to a better world, something just short of that, then you have not gotten to your point yet. You're not ready. Where there is no vision, the people perish. People, the company, the initiative, the objective, the thing that you're doing, it will fall flat on its face. It will perish. Where there's no vision, the thing will perish. It's not a differentiator. Your purpose is not a differentiator. It's not something that super sets you apart from everybody else in the world. You shouldn't look at it this way. It just needs to be true about you and why you're doing this. Someone else in another industry, they may have something very similar. They might say that they do their thing for a very similar reason that you do it. And that's just fine. That's okay. But it has to be true and clear for you, because it's going to go into all the other areas of your company. And that's for another webinar. Again, this is not a science. This is not a linear process to get there. It's more of an art, and you should kind of think of it that way. In a home, in a relationship, there are typically two poles. One is, well, obviously there's genders, but I mean, I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about that one is more logical. One of the partners is more logical. One of the spouses is more logical, and one is more creative. And so one of them is going to feel like, well, that's not going to work for this, and this, or we need to have a very structured plan. And the other one's like, well, we have to feel this. We have to get the vibe, and we have to have this has to feel right. And then they express things more around their feelings and how they think they experience the world and feel the world they're in. So this is a messy process. Getting to your purpose and getting to the why of what you're doing. It's not just a clear, easy process. It's something that takes time, takes a lot of communication, and it's a little bit messy. So it's not linear, and it has everything to do with you and the future of your business. The goal is not to get to the answer fast. The goal is to get to the true and clear reason the organization exists. When all the cards are on the table and all the reasons for your doing this are aired, you'll begin to see a picture. And once you get that picture, you have to capture that concise purpose, frame it, write it down, memorize it, because it will become very tactical throughout the process of your future business operations. But right now, you simply need to know what it is, know that it exists, and have it written down. Okay? Now, once you have that, you have addressed, congratulations, by the way, the tactical and the vision steps of being ready to take the step. Now you are ready to take the step, not the leap, into business, into your side hustle. You should never look at it should never be this massive leap, wish upon a star. I'm going out into this thing and I have no idea if we're going to make it, but we're going. No, it should not be like that. It should be you taking a deliberate set of activities towards something that's working. And if you're not in that, or if you feel like your spouse is dragging you into something like that, you need to put the brakes on and stop until you guys can come together and understand that we've got our emergency fund. We're making enough money to pay the bills. When we invest more time, it's working. And we have a vision. We understand why the heck we're doing this. It's not just about money or saving time. It's actually about this thing that makes life better for these people. And we're actually making forward progress now. And we understand these things. Our emergency fund is in place. Our debt is paid off. Now we're ready to take the step, not the leap, from the side hustle into the business. Guys, there's lots more, and that's why there's lots more to operating and running a profitable company. That's why I do these webinars, because I want to make sure you succeed, that you actually, when you make that transition, that you win. Because there was one time, a long time ago, when my little business was just this tiny little thing that I wasn't sure if was going to make it. And I remember being fearful. I remember sitting in my bedroom thinking about whether or not we could win, whether or not we could take what we have and grow it to something that was far beyond, like, that could support our family one day. I remember that feeling, and I remember the thoughts I had, and the lack of information that I felt like I had, and the lack of preparedness that I felt like I was in in those moments. And I just want to tell you that that tiny little thing, that dream, it used to be a dream. 11 years ago, I had a dream, and today that dream is a reality. And now, when I look at that reality that we currently experience right now, I look into the future and I'm like, man, if this is the reality, and 11 years ago, I dreamt about this. I dreamt about this day where I actually had a home that was fully paid off, and a cattle farm, because it's something I enjoy. So it's my hobby, a cattle farm. And I had a business that supported me and many other team members, and where we could live out our values daily, and we could do something that was working near loved ones, and we could provide clarity for people. We could do something valuable for others. It would be so cool. And today, that's a reality in my life. And I know there's some business owners out there today that think in this economy that it's too hard, that in this current situation that you might not be able to make it. But I'm here to say that you can defy all of that information in the marketplace. Decide to defer pleasure for a season so that you can get to that amazing dream that's down there in the future. And you create that future. You do. You create the future for you, and I create the future for me. And so I just want you to know that you can do this. This is all doable. And I even think you should do this. If you've got a little seed of a desire in your heart to do something great and to create a business, you should do it. You should absolutely do it, because the world needs it of you. Over the past 25 years, small businesses have added 13 million jobs to the US economy. They are the freaking economy. We run the economy. And you, people just like you, they're going to start a business this year, and they're going to do it with great common sense, addressing reality, creating their vision, and making sure they're debt free, and doing all the work up front and preparing themselves, and then launching into that thing, because from a position of strength, not from a position of weakness. And they're going to change their lives, and they're going to change the lives of their children, and they're going to change the lives of all their clients, because they're going to provide a valuable service for thousands and thousands of people. And the world is just waiting for you to get out there and do that thing for your community and for the people in your world, just like it was waiting for me to do that for mine. And so I just wanted you to see that and feel that, and just kind of have that little bit of vision in your life. Because when you do it, and you can look down the road and say, you know what? If I could do this thing, that dream just down the road could become a reality. And like I'm standing here today, I say, that dream down the road, it has become a reality in my life now. And now it has broadened the horizons to say, if this dream can become a reality, then what greater and more powerful dreams can we work through with a great team that we have to create the next one? And so we're working on that. And it's super exciting. It's invigorating. It's life-giving. When desire, then comes life. Where no hope is, there is no life. There is no encouragement. There is no future. But when desire comes, there's a spring of life-giving flow. And you have that inside you as well. So I hope that you've gotten something out of this webinar. I hope it's been beneficial to you and to your life. It has. Please share it with somebody. Like and subscribe to this video. leave some comments for us, because we really would love to see more comments about around your business and around what you're doing and cool, awesome things that you're thinking of and how you're growing your and preparing to step into your business. So please like and subscribe, follow us on Instagram and YouTube and all the other socials out there, because we're constantly posting content on there for each and every one of you. So like and subscribe and follow us. And I put content out just like this so that you can have the biggest chance of achieving your dreams that you have dreamt up. And then that when you get there, you can look in the future and even dream bigger ones. And I'm all about that. But we have to start where we are and start making logical steps forwards. And I hope that from this lesson today, you've got some of those logical steps that you can take and now charge forwards in your life, making your dream not be a nightmare, but actually become an awesome reality. You're welcome, Jacob. And I really appreciate you sending that comment in. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in the future. Again, my name is Jason Ellinger. I'm the CEO of Tiger Translations. We went from zero to over a multi-million-dollar company in a very short period of time, in 10 years. And I know you can do something just as cool and maybe even cooler. And I'll see you in the next video.